is good, everyone? Welcome to a podcast of four fans. Four fans. This is the Fourcast Philippines. My name is Mark. I am your PR boy next door. With me is the real deal, JV,
Let's get it.
the back-to-back Rookie of the Year, Frankie J.
Sheesh!
Hey,
Bago yun ah.
pressure on the last one. The human internet troll, Manzano.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, we may hang
Grabe, may
loose
hand
pa.
sign.
Oh.
Yan, bro.
Hey, hang loose,
Hey.
bro. All right.
Jiu-jitsu yan, bro. Jiu-jitsu, bro. Proponent
Oh,
na ako ng
Jiu-Jitsu.
martial art for betterment of all people there.
Wow, the troll
Oh,
talking about betterment of people.
We'll see for this
yeah.
episode.
Totoo. Yeah, speaking of this episode, we thank you guys for always tuning in to this humble podcast of ours about basketball, about the NBA mainly, since that's what's on right now. Invite you to keep sharing, listening to us on the Forecast PH, on our Facebook, all our social media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, lahat na. In the last episode, guys, we talked about super teams, their impact, whether we like it or not, and if they're good for the game. And when we were talking in our chat on Messenger, we were thinking what would be a nice follow up to it. And naturally, we thought of an offshoot topic. If there are super teams, these big successful powerhouse teams, there are always going to be bandwagon fans. So this episode is dedicated to talking about whether or not we like it, where do we draw the line, and if they're good for the game. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting discussion if our chat was any indication. So guys, to start this topic on bandwagon fans, let's start with the good and the bad. We want to break it down. What are the good and bad sides of being a bandwagon or bandwagoning? I want to start with, how about for JV?
Good and the bad ng bandwagon. I think more of side ang good. Pero, let's, bandwagoning, if it's really the term, is good. Kasi it brings new fans to the sport, to the event. Right? Like, it brings more people to the culture. Diba? Like, for example, ako, like, I'm a bandwagon. I started watching the NBA during the finals ng Lakers tsaka Orlando. So, like,
Mm,
in yung origin story
2009.
ko, yeah, exactly. Nala Lakers, yeah. Go Kobe. Anyways. Um,
Bandwagon.
sobra
Bandwagon talaga.
talaga.
Bandwagon.
Sobra talaga. Kasi kayo nanonood ng NBA noon. Ako hindi pa. So, hindi ako makirelate, diba? So, yun yung pinaka-origin story ko. And now, as as we've evolved and progressed with our fandoms, ito na tayo. Like, we have our own podcast na and we're talking
Mm,
about something that we all love and share. But yeah, yun
Oh,
yung good side ng bandwagon. Right?
all right. I want to just build on that. I think we kind of lost respect for JV for saying he's a bandwagon fan. No bandwagon fans here
Yes.
No, no,
on
no.
the forecast. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
But to
You
put a bit more perspective to it, you brought up a point of bringing more people in the game. I agree. As someone who works in marketing and PR, and I think Frankie J will agree, it improves the marketability of and the commercial appeal of a team. Because if walang fans or if there's no mass appeal, they won't be able to be this multi-million dollar billion dollar corporation, diba? These teams. More eyeballs means more money.
Correct.
Also, I think on the good side of bandwagoning, if you bring more casuals into the sport, it helps expand the game. Like more people get interested, and eventually they develop that bandwagon fandom to hardcore, quote unquote fandom. Tingnan mo si JV, di ba? 2009 bandwagon fan, and then now, a die-hard NBA and basketball fan.
Kala niyo ako lang
Um,
bandwagon dito nung una. Sasampalin ko kayo sa
eh,
isa
ikaw
eh.
lang, ikaw lang. Ikaw na umamin eh.
Balikan natin yung first ep
And
ng podcast natin ha. origin
Pwede
stories
natin
natin,
balikan yun. You said it. Point blank, bandwagon ka. Okay, at least meron tayong
Yeah.
perspective ng bandwagon. And the pop culture relevance, you can't deny it, guys. Iba talaga pag mas maraming, if more people care about this team, this player, or this sport, it makes it more exciting. And so naturally, you have a mix there, a mixed bag of casuals, fair weather fans, or those na, let's say, may links to a hometown or a player.
Yeah.
Frankie J, the good of bandwagoning.
For me, actually, very similar to what you mentioned, Mark. It's about the marketability of that specific team or the sport, diba? So I think that's one of the good parts of bandwagoning, and another is it gives that person or specific or yeah that person a chance to know more about the sport, about the team, about the player that he wants to support. And to be honest, I'm sure if you think about it siguro deeply or think about it long enough, every one of us starts as a bandwagon. So in contrast to what you mentioned, Mark, na hindi ka bandwagon
Yeah.
fan. Hindi ka naman taga San Antonio para maging loyal ay actual fan ng San Antonio Spurs.
Naman.
You were able
True.
there was a point in time that led you um emotionally to support San Antonio in the
Mm.
long run. Similar to Manzano, bandwagon ka ng
It's
Lakers, di ka naman taga Lakers eh. Nalaman mo na yung Lakers,
Oo nga.
kinento ng mga pinsan mo sa'yo eh. So,
Oh, shots fired.
bandwagon ka din
Bang
at
bang.
first. And then it's on your end now to follow up with that fandom of yours. If you want to stay and support that team alone for the rest of your life or for the long run. Um I guess
Mm.
I think with that in that sense, every one of us starts as a bandwagon. Even me, I'm a Heat fan, but there's just this one moment that made me a Heat fan back in 2004. Um, so yeah, I think that's the good part, and it's in the person's end to kind of follow up to that point if they want to stay a fan, if they're interested enough to learn more about the culture of the sport, the culture of the team, culture, the personalities of the player, and that entices him to if that entices him to be a fan or involve himself as a fan to the game, to the person, to the sport. Well, that's the good part. And then transitioning to the bad part again, related to that. If you're a bandwagon fan, well, which we all are at first, there's also the other end wherein you just support from like occasionally support the team or the player or the sport. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that's the other side of being a bandwagon fan as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
just to kind of answer the question of what's good and bad. Diba?
So you mentioned, Frankie J, how it's some sort of a gateway into the sport, right? Or into the, if it's your gateway to becoming a bigger fan. And I
Yes.
agree on that. I'm very curious to hear um the
Yeah,
trolls take this
the
time.
trolls take
The good and the bad, if there's any good for you. Well, we're gonna go through the
good.
bad in a bit, but how about for you, Manzano?
Not much everyone said about bad, except Frankie J. No.
No, I'm gonna say bad later.
Okay. But
Mamaya, kumalma lang.
some common misconceptions and misnomers here. Um, Bandwagoning is about. I have to agree with you. It's the act of the follow through after the introduction. You know, me, guys here know, kind of a religious guy, and that extends into sports. I believe Steph Curry is the basketball Jesus, but that's another topic for another time.
It's another
Um,
podcast.
when it comes to bandwagoning, there is a lot of layers to that. There's bandwagoning to sport, bandwagoning to a team, different tolerance levels, but we can get to that later. Point being, the good of bandwagoning, it makes the passionate fans look better. That's the good of it, and the only good of it. But you talk about the marketing and stuff as a good thing. I kind of see it sometimes as a bad thing because it inflates the prices, keeps merch expensive. You know what I mean? But point being, I do agree with you. Everyone starts off new. not necessarily bandwagoner, because for me, bandwagoner is the lack of follow through, right? So someone who started watching basketball a month ago can be can't be considered a bandwagoner over someone who's watched it for like 30 years, but flip flops from teams, only watches the finals. So it's not about tenure, Mark. It's about the follow through after the introduction, and just going by a Bible verse, Mark.
Mhm.
You gotta refer to the word. It. I want you all to read James 2:26. It applies to everything in life. Faith without deeds is dead. That's all I have to say, Mark.
Very familiar with that Bible verse. Thanks for dropping that, by the way. I think first time for us to drop a Bible verse on the podcast. But just to kind of jump off what you said earlier, you don't like the marketability. I mean, it increases the prices, na-inflate yung values ng teams, the merchandise, and all the marketing
Yeah, yo,
surrounding it.
Frank and Jay, show us your new shirt, man.
Oh, my new
Or
shirt.
was
Oh,
it there? Oh, yeah, your new shirt.
it's here.
For those on YouTube, we're about to show Frankie J's shirt.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sir.
Tyler
Hey,
Hero.
hey.
Salamat,
with
The
Shopee.
that with that
Pero
with
kayong
that
tatlo na bahala
growl.
if add siya or not. Pero salamat,
Baka
Shopee.
naman. Baka naman,
All right.
Shout
Shopee.
out Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero, member of the Miami Heat. Well, yeah, as I was saying, Zano, that's what makes these sports big. That's what makes them last and endure these decades of relevance here in the country, abroad, internationally. In the Final Four, NCAA, diba? I mean, no one really watches it from first game to
no,
last game or from the start of the season. Playoffs lang
that's
naman
what
yan,
a
and then
ba-
you,
that's what a
that's what the
bandwagon
bandwagon.
will say. Come on,
Yeah,
Mark.
but
It's
Actually,
the
Mark, ano ba yun?
it's the
it
passionate
let me
fans that keeps the lights on. Okay,
let let
fine. It's the bandwagon and all these casual that makes the cake.
but
Fills the cake, but
yeah,
they're the icing. The bulk of it, what keeps the lights on, what continues that heritage, what Frankie J says as culture, is that passionate fans. Okay,
yes, pero
if a team has five passionate fans, zero casual fans, or against a team that has like 500 casual fans and zero passionate fans, who's gonna survive, Mark? You tell me.
I'm not saying I'm saying that bandwagon fans are part of what keeps they're not the main part. They're not going to be the ones that will be there, watch the game, support the team for 10, 20, 30 years, but they will they'll fuel it, they'll keep it going with their money, with their watching it from time to time, and that's what will keep the league going, that's what keep the players going.
Yeah, and that's
World
why
Cup,
social media
Super
is
Bowl.
this is the point of social media. It's
Yeah,
bringing to light, giving awareness to
yes.
those who don't know about a certain league. Let's say the
Yeah.
NCAA. If we follow Bleacher Report, if we follow BR Hoops, they focus BR Hoops specifically. They focus more on the high school students or the college students before they transition into the NBA, and it's a kind of a way of scouting which players will eventually make a mark in the NBA. So basically, it's basically giving us awareness of who these players are. For instance, we have Cade
Yeah.
Cunningham, we have Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga. I'm not an alumni of Gonzaga, nor am I an alumni of Oklahoma State, but these players are phenomenal, and you would see them
Uh,
in the league. And for me personally, I'm gonna be a fan of either Cade Cunningham or Jalen Suggs when they're in the league, whatever team they're in. So
Yeah.
now I'm gonna be part of this fandom of these players, um, wherever they go. Let's say Cade Cunningham goes to, let's say, whatever, Oklahoma City, which is a small market team. I want to keep my eyes, or I want to keep tabs on his performance. Since I'm a fan of his college days or even his high school days, um, that kind of makes me a bandwagon fan. But what I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and it's if it's not just kind of increase the marketability of OKC if ever he goes there, diba?
Yeah. Yeah, you
But,
mentioned
but
that the difference is follow through, right?
yeah,
For
so
me, let
that's what
them
makes Frankie J the accepted acceptable kind of bandwagoner
We'll
because
get
he
to
put
that.
in the work. He put in the
Yeah,
work. That's my point. He put
we'll
in the work.
we'll get to that. We're talking about, not trying to gatekeep sports teams or players, right? Let's let them have. Everyone starts as a bandwagon. We all agree. At some point, we've become a bandwagon, but you can't, not 100% will follow through. Be diehard fans like us. They will watch the games all these years.
Correct.
So we give them that opportunity, and there's going to be new batches of bandwagons coming. On next year, iba na naman manonood. Next year, kids are gonna grow up and watch this. Maybe some guys, girls will get into it, and it's a cycle. So it, it's an it's something that's inevitable. Hindi mo matatanggal yon sa sport. And I listed here, in the bad or the cons of being a bandwagon. It gets diehard fans livid. So it's really more of an ego thing, di ba? I put here, the bad. It gets diehard fans livid. You feel it's unfair that you have to share in the team's success with others
Exactly.
na hindi masyado nag-commit. So in other words, egos are hurt. And I think that's really, I think we're displaying it right now. So we're all diehard fans, but when there are those who share in mga bandwagon casuals, dun nakakainis. And that's what I put in the bad. May
Well,
tendency to
personally,
go overboard.
anyone who's
Yeah.
for me, anyone is welcome to support the Heat with me. I don't care. So personally, I don't have
Yeah.
that ego thing that you're talking about. Kasi when the Heat made its big three, I was like, come on,
Yeah.
join the train, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I just never really saw something that's unacceptable. Again, I'm not sure if we're moving forward with the next question or we're in that topic already. But in terms of unacceptability in a bandwagon, I think um the only thing unacceptable for me is when these fans start parang naging know-it-all sila. And sometimes it shows,
Mm.
but it's
Yep.
not that I'm not welcoming them, 'di ba? So parang okay, you
Yeah.
support. I just give you the freedom to support whichever team or whichever sport you want. But the only thing that's kind of faulty for me is that part, know it all and
Yeah.
everything. When you start showing ignorance to other people or other
Yep.
fans from different sports or different teams, that's when it starts getting kind of a faulty or something
Yeah.
that's a bit unacceptable for me.
Yeah. So this next part, we talk about where do we draw the line, where bandwagoning becomes acceptable or unacceptable for us. And I guess to echo what Frankie J said, for me, it's simple. I let people enjoy things, and we should whether they're casuals, fair weather fans, bandwagon fans, whatever you want to call it, as long as you don't claim to be a since day one an OG diehard ride or die fan of a certain team or player. Okay, other than that, it's okay. You can be a fan, but don't pretend to be that you were there since the start, or that you know everything or know a lot about the game, because like what Frankie J said, yun yung nakakainis. That really gets on our nerves, and parang I'll mute this person on social media, or what is this
Yeah.
guy
Oh,
or this girl
okay.
saying?
Parang it takes away yung experience mo as a fan, lalo na if
Mm.
loyal ka since day one. Kasi ang
Yes.
daming ebbs and flows ng team. Like, for example, like mag-championship runs kayo, tapos since pa-decline na yung mga talented players nyo, doon na magde-decline. And usually, the loyals stay loyal even during those periods, right?
Yes. That's the
Tapos,
test.
yun yung test ng loyal fan. Tapos pagdating ng isang new person, tapos i-claim niya na pinagdaanan niya yung same journeys. Parang yun yung nakakainis nga. Like,
Yeah.
it really takes away yung experience of from being a loyal fan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me
so
nga ano
there,
eh,
yeah, parang may certain people ng ganun. But again, for me,
yeah.
going back to the point, bandwagoning is really not a problem, I think. But yeah, when it comes to that point, that's when it starts being kind of a bit unacceptable for me.
Yeah.
I guess for
Just
you
don't
guys as well, right?
just don't cross the line. Don't be a pretender. And I would admire it if you admit that you're a bandwagon fan, you own up to it, and you say, I'm not a big fan, but I like watching this player or this team. Okay lang yun. that's fine.
No,
Manzano, where do you draw the
Well,
line?
yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it we are all in agreement here that it's about integrity, right? It's about
mhm.
posing. Mark called it pretending. I call it
Yes.
posing. Yeah. To be someone you're not. I've seen people who okay, they say they've watched the whole game, they know everything, then they post it on social media and such. And then when you ask them, they didn't really watch the game. That's akin to me to like photoshopping yourself beside the Eiffel Tower, making it your profile pic, saying to everyone you've been to France. It's the
Yeah.
same. You can mark, okay, find there are people naman na who admit it. Pero kasi ako personally, like social media kasi honestly, fine, we use it as tools to sort of cosmetically enhance or to exaggerate at some points. Pero sometimes people and they're like, that's false, man. It's just wrong. And again, it's not about tenure naman, like being an OG or not. Fans since day one, we all have our different day ones, and I respect
Yeah.
that. What I don't respect, it's the lack of work, of the follow through, then
Yeah.
claiming that you've been there. It's really that. Just don't lie. Okay,
Yeah.
I think
fine. There's no law. You won't get imprisoned for it. I
Yeah.
won't
It's
even
not illegal.
I
yeah, I
won't
think
report your Facebook post.
Yeah.
I think there's one thing you're missing lang, Manzano, with that. Posting doesn't necessarily mean that I'm admitting that I'm a bandwagon fan and pinagyayabang ko na I was there since day one. For instance, okay, just sharing to everyone who listens the podcast. The reason why bandwagoning is our topic today is because Manzano here got a bit livid that he saw someone posting F1 content, not even basketball, guys. F1 content. And he knows this person um just became a fan of F1 because of the Netflix series Drive to Survive. And personally I got hit because I just
Ikaw ba
started
yun?
watching. I don't know. I don't
It
know.
wasn't
I
Frankie
don't
J. It
know.
wasn't Frankie
I don't
J.
know, but personally, I just started watching F1 because I watched the Netflix series season 1 to season 3, and I
Okay.
kind of established myself as a bandwagon fan of the McLaren team. Wherein Lando Norris and this guy Daniel Ricciardo is part of. And when Lando Norris was able to secure a P4, meaning he placed fourth in a race of 20 drivers, I posted it on Instagram, and then suddenly there's this ongoing debate in our forecast group about bandwagoning F1 because they just watched the Netflix series. So it's kind of like a why are you kind of,
Attack.
yeah, I kind of felt
Hey,
attacked
oh,
because why are you attacking people who post what they want, who post who they want to support to, which sport they want, which sport they're currently supporting, because they watch a Netflix series. I mean, you do you, dude. I mean, I
Yeah.
I
okay,
do my
okay, okay.
I want to
Feeling
post
ko
this
kailangan
because
may
I'm a
disclaimer ng
fan.
mga ganun
Diba?
There,
na
there's some missing facts there. Okay, one, it wasn't Frankie J.
Well, it
Two,
might
the
as well
person.
be me because that's the exact same thing I did.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. Cause this person explicitly said, I only watch Drive to Survive. I only watch the documentary. For those who don't know, it's a annual documentary, like a season review. Other people, I don't mind if that's your gateway, that's your ticket into the but to say that you're a fan, you watch, you post this, and then that's the only thing you watch, and you explicitly tell me that's the only thing you watch every year, only thing you watch about F1. That's wrong. Wait,
Why?
that's like someone
Well,
watching The Last Dance and then saying he's an NBA
yeah,
fan and then
gets
never watch
gets
any game whatsoever
But did
up
that
to
gets
now.
specific person
That doesn't put
say
the
na
effort.
fan siya ng F1?
Yeah, I mean, like all the
But
that's the implication of it.
but yeah, then
That's
again, let's go back to the question.
um,
What's wrong with it? Nagyayabang ba siya? If nagyayabang siya, okay. Okay, I get
yeah.
you.
oh,
Pero kung
like,
hindi siya
like
nagyayabang, he just wants to post it kasi he got so interested sa sport or even dun sa Netflix series na nanood siyang Drive to Survive. Oy, solid to. Pero okay lang. Hanggang dito lang muna ako. Drive to Survive
well,
basically
okay.
has it gives you a lot of information about the sport as well. So I don't think there's anything wrong with posting about it, even in relation to the actual ongoing event in F1 or in any sport in that case, diba?
I get that. It's more of like, there was this someone that then you're talking and then he said, oy, fancy, And then like, bakit? Kita ko posts niya. So, I talk.
Yeah.
Me. I like to debate. Hindi man necessarily debate. Like, talk. Ito rin that's the virtue of watching. You get to learn and impart yourself, not just be a participant to it. But, we can get to that
Okay.
later.
Yeah.
I talk to that person, and that's what he tells me. I only watch every year, and I don't really watch
Yeah.
any of the other countries or
Yeah.
whatnot.
But
Well,
then again, basically, there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
It's
Well,
Yeah,
well,
hindi
Illegal
illegal,
na.
pero I think more
Illegal.
of etiquette pa rin siya yung usapan niya.
fan
Ethics.
etiquette. Yeah.
Ethics.
I think
Well, it's
going
not
back to
illegal.
it's
Yeah.
not exactly unacceptable. Well, personal opinion, it's not unacceptable until you start bragging about, bragging about it to other fans of the sport or other fans of other teams na
Yeah.
na try
When
to
you're
survive or
when you're
ito
trying to
lang pinapanood kong
upstage.
team or itong finals na pinapanood ko tapos sabihin ko banu naman ang team mo hindi matalo ganito sa finals
Yeah.
ganun. That's when
Siguro
it's wrong.
siguro it's when you try to upstage or you try to
There upstage, that's
pretend
the
or pose and upstage other fans na wait, ano ka lang I thought hindi ka naman, or parang hindi ka naman masyadong hardcore fan. Why are you trying to make yourself appear like one? So kanya-kanya tayo ng threshold. Where do we
Feeling
draw
ko
the
yung
line?
issue ko dun is parang you're allowing yourself to be branded as a fan knowing na hindi ka naman fan. Like, pinag-post ka lang. Tapos, implication na yun is fan ka without
Yeah,
like
I think
acknowledging na
yun yung ultimate debate doon, I think. It's supposed to.
Hindi, pero
acknowledging na ito lang yung source mo.
Being a
Kasi
fan.
magkaiba yun, like, nanonood lang ako highlights. Tapos sabihin ko, NBA fan ako. Parang,
pero nasa sa'yo na
Yeah,
yun.
Well,
another kind of forms.
Nasa sa'yo na yun to receive it that way.
Yes. And kasi it's one post or a few posts. It's not like they're going on a whole thread or a whole tweeting spree that's saying
Okay.
all
Gets.
hindi na naman to one post yung usapan, di ba?
Hindi lang ba?
One post lang yan.
Hindi nga kasi si Frankie J yun
Hindi nga ako. Kasi ako ilang beses na ako nag-post. Pero,
alam ko ilang years na
yung basis ng, basically, yung start ng fire or yung spark was from one post na minessage tayo ni Manzano. Pero gets ko yung sinasabi ni JV, you're allowing yourself to be branded that way, na parang fan ka, or supporter ka, or long-time fan ka. But just because you watched a Netflix series or whatever or finals, but I think there's really nothing wrong with that. It's more of how the receiver takes it. For instance, Manzano.
Yeah.
He saw a post of someone who admitted saying that he just watched the documentary or the Netflix documentary, and then he starts getting mad indirectly, pero sa amin kami kinakausap niya. So parang alright, okay, for me walang mali nun eh. Ako hindi naman ako masyado nanonood ng WNBA, but I know about it kasi social media, highlight her Instagram page, BR Hoops whatever or Bleacher Report, and then I start watching highlights, diba? And I post mainly Paige Beckers, this amazing college female athlete, which I believe is one of the greatest college basketball players of all time. And then and I'm excited for her to go to the WNBA, but I'm not necessarily up to speed with the WNBA right now. But I post. Is there something wrong with that? Wala naman, diba? So parang I think that's my point lang. And yun nga, again, going back to the difference lang is it becomes unacceptable if you start bragging about it to other fans of other teams or other teams. And when you start what was the term you said a while ago? Upstaging other teams. And you know yourself, you're not that kind of fan. So I think that's where it starts to become unacceptable.
Yung pinaka-nainisan kasi ni Manzano is sinabi nung isang friend niya na fan siya. So parang ganong distinction.
Well, could be a casual fan, could be like Hindi naman sinabi niya, oh, die hard ako eh. Hindi naman
Ay
ako,
nako,
No.
and yun na rin
but
yun.
Yun na
Because,
rin eh. Parang,
if that's the case, okay lang
Nah.
na maging fan. You could say, kunyari, he said, I'm a fan, but I just watch during
Yeah.
this
dapat
time.
may but. Dapat may
Then,
but.
sabi
Well,
niya, di ba? Sabi
but I
niya, I
still
watch
support.
only
But
Drive
I
to
still
Survive.
support, diba?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
okay lang
it
naman
still
yun.
Close pa
interests
din
me.
lagi eh.
But I think yeah, at
Di
the
na,
end of the day for me, sorry guys, but at the end of the day for me, it's more of how the other person sees it or the
yeah.
other person
Eto,
takes it.
eto ah, eto ah, I think if you are secure with your fandom, there's nothing to be worried about. You don't have to be too about it.
Oh,
If Manzana, we know you've been watching for years. You're the authority. Probably in our circles, you're the authority on that sport. But as long as he didn't say that, you know what? I'm an expert. I've been watching this for 10 years. I know everything. Nothing wrong with that. So I think we have to wrap it up na rin because we only have a few minutes left. If there's any other memorable bandwagon story that you guys have, ako just to share quickly, the Warriors, mid 2010s. As we know, maraming, because it was cool to support them. That was when nainis lang ako because like they were so good. Pogi pa si Steph Curry, he changed the game. So it was really hard for you to root for them. Tapos marami pang bandwagon na Go Dub Nation hashtag lock in ganyan. So but again, it's fine. As long as you don't
Pero
see
mainis
people.
ka pa din. Yun yung point, di ba?
Yeah,
Mainis ka pa din eh.
maiinis ka. Maiinis ka, but
But,
I mean, is it wrong to like a team just sometimes? Not really.
well, ano
For
lang
me, it's
naman
wrong
yun
to
ay
be
more.
deceptive. Eh na naman tayo, ikot na naman tayo.
talaga, iikot talaga tayo.
If you're pretending, if you're upstaging na wala ka namang right, doon maiinis. So, yeah, I think that was the last big, parang big team that people were bandwagoning to. Um, yeah, we only have a few minutes left here on Zoom. So I guess we really nagdwell talaga tayo dun sa origin, the core of this topic, which was
Ano,
Daming
open tayo,
layers kasi.
open
Daming
tayo to
layers eh.
donations if para may Zoom premium
yes,
account kami.
if
Link
oh,
down below.
or if you want
true.
if you want the part 2 of this bandwagon, just
Yeah,
let
let
us
us
know.
know. Yeah, but I guess to close this episode, a very a bit more tense episode. You have any message to bandwagon fans and future bandwagon fans? Meron bang mga message? I think I can start. I have some notes here. Again, saying it again, it's okay to be a bandwagon or casual fan
Mhm.
as long as you admit you're one. If you admit that you are one, props to you, hands down. High five, fist bump, good for you. As long as you don't post to be well informed or a hardcore fan, that's fine. And a word of advice, I think we can all agree: try learning more, investing more in the player and the team, and it will make your experience 100 times better. If you really take more time and you like put the effort, your bandwagon fandom will be, might be like us, the hardcore all these years. Anyone else want to give like a final message or shout outs to bandwagons and future bandwagons? Magpa-playoffs in a few months? Meron bang
Yeah.
For me,
Okay,
it's a
go.
few words of affirmation. You do you. That's
Yan.
you do you. Just you do you.
Agree.
And I guess it's there's no shame in being a bandwagon fan. Everyone who starts to know about a team, lalo na in the Philippines,
Yeah.
um, starts off as a bandwagon fans. And lastly, don't listen to trolls. No, I'm just kidding. But but yeah, again,
Block them.
basically, you do you, and remember that there's no shame in being a bandwagon fan.
All right. JV.
Game. For future fans, wow, fans. Hindi sila bandwagons. I mean, go lang. Go lang. It's a really good community of kung ano mang ma-interest nyo and you're always welcome in that community. Pero tip lang is
Yes.
wag lang kayo magpapanggap. Ay, yun lang naman all we ask as loyal fans is wag kayo magpanggap na diehard OG fans din kayo and we had the same journey at that point in time. So, yeah, go lang and you do you, sabi nga ni
I'm
Frankie J.
I'm gonna give the last word to the human
Yeah.
internet show.
Yeah.
You
Uh,
know, I remember the words of the OG Jesus, not the basketball Jesus, Steph Curry, and he said, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven." So, what heaven am I talking about? It's really that reward of being a true fan. I I'm just gonna parrot what the other guy says because I agree with them. I encourage everyone to do the work. You know, and relating it to Frankie J, you do you. If your team is going on the downslide, if a sport is not as famous anymore, baka nawala yung drive to survive and then wala nang updates. I joke lang. You do you
hindi
pa rin. Look,
hindi na renew
you know,
yung season.
there's value there's value in going through the tough times so that when the good times come, you deserve to celebrate with that team. And anecdotally,
Amen.
it's so much
True,
rewarding
true.
to go through all the like in F1 6 years in the time span between Lewis won his championships. And I was there throughout those 6 years. Lakers, the Smush Parker era, I lived through that. And I can tell you it's really infinitely more rewarding to go through that and then win championships later. So that's just
Yes.
me, I encourage everyone. It's really, 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 as much as I say you do you using that. And these guys, they said just bring some sort of um merch of your favorite team. The rebel in me brought the football thing because I do me. So yeah, you do
Yeah.
you. Just stay by your teams. That's all I.
Yeah.
On that note,
All right.
you guys can bandwagon the forecast PH.
Yes. Accepting bandwagons, applications ongoing for bandwagon fans of the Forecast PH. And if you like that, you would like our other episodes as well and our future episodes here on the Forecast PH, our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, lahat na. Um, Apple Podcast, yes, we're on there too. Or you can rate us as well, and if you can reach us there as well on all those platforms. That's gonna do it for yours truly, the PR boy next door, Mark, the rookie of the year, back to back rookie of the year, Frankie J, the real deal JV, and the human internet show Manzano. This has been the Forecast PH. Till the next interesting and juicy topic, we'll see you when we see you.